Hey there, and welcome to Find Your Fit with Deanna. I'm Deanna, a fitness professional and personal trainer, and all the things. Welcoming you today to a very quick episode that will provide for you 4 things that you can do when you are super crunched for time, when you're in your work clothes, when you're maybe between Zoom meetings or whatever the case may be, or person meetings. Maybe you want to lead your team in something like this. So what I want you to think about is when we've been sitting, so that's really what we're going to attack today. When we've been sitting for a long period of time, one of the things we want to think about is what is the most urgent. So if I have a small amount of time to do a little bit of activity, what's the thing that will be the most sort of bang for my buck? And what do I need? So when we've been sitting, what happens to our posture is often, of course, we might round our shoulders because we're at our computer or leaning into your meeting, etc. We also find the posterior chain, it's muscles in the back of the body, particularly our glutes, kind of get switched off because we're sitting on them, right? They get what we call inhibited. And then we often find hamstrings are something that also gets a little bit switched off. And for many folks, our hamstrings are a little bit on the weak side anyway, especially in comparison to those big quads that we have, right? That are so strong. And just thinking about sort of what in the upper body, if you're in that rounded position, what are some of the things that would need to be stretched out? And then what help to counterbalance there in terms of what we want to strengthen? So 4 things for you to think about. You know, if you're in your work clothes, so I'm in work clothes that transition me from fitness stuff into professor stuff, but professor stuff that leads some active lectures. So I'm cheating a bit. I've got some dress pants that actually are also yoga pants, which is like the best thing to come out of COVID, to be honest. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go with 4 exercises, right? We're going to start with a squat. So you're coming up out of your chair. Make sure you've got a little bit of room around you. Now, many of us are very what we would call quad dominant in our squat, meaning that's the thing, or those are the things that are firing. Yes, they should be, but also we should have some activation in the back of the hip, in our glutes, right? In that glute max in particular, the other glutes sit at the side of the hip. And so what I want you to think about is if you've been sitting on them, they're probably not firing as we like. So we're going to sit into our squat, come all the way up and kind of squeeze the glutes at the top. So I'll often talk about sort of your back pocket area, right? That's where I want you to think about if you happen to have back pockets in your pants. Think about giving that area of your glutes a little squeeze. So some of those squats, okay? Second, I would invite you to have something to just hold on to just for a touch point for balance for this one. I want you to activate those hamstrings. I know they get a little bit of activation in our squat, in my opinion, simply not enough to give them the love that those hamstrings deserve. So touching, you know, I don't know, countertop, your desk, your chair, as long as your chair's not on wheels, something for a little bit of an anchor. And then what we're going to do, I'm just going to back up so we've got a better contrast so you can see. We're going to take, lovingly, my classes and clients call this the walnut, because I often say, imagine you have a walnut. You're going to put that behind your knee, hold on to the walnut, yeah? Lengthen up, your thighs are in line, so don't let that walnut leg or the lifted leg come forward. I want you to keep that behind, sit down and back, great tall posture. Keep hold of that walnut. In fact, I want you to try to crack it. So you're going to lift up a little more. I've already got some fire in my hamstrings. How about you? Then a little press. We're still neutral through the abdominals, meaning I'm not arching my back to get the leg back there. A little press. Then, of course, you do the second side, right? Lift up, crack that walnut. At the very least, hold on to that walnut. Give a push back and return. Push back, return. Of course, likely goes without saying, but I feel like I need to say it. Just make sure you're doing the same number of repetitions on your left side and your right side. Okay? Squat with a glute squeeze, hamstring press, okay? Hamstring squeeze or curl and press. Third, I want you to think about chest. So that big pectoralis major, that big muscle we've got through here that runs out toward the shoulder, and the muscles at the front of the shoulder, that anterior deltoid. I just want you to think about how short and tight those become In addition, often when we're in this rounded posture through the upper back, we get a bit of a chin poke. So this isn't a strengthening exercise. This is a stretch. I want you to let yourself, I'm going to come forward into this posture. And I want you to think about taking your arms, make a W, okay? Then we're going to open up that W. I want you to squeeze your mid back, open the collarbone, and folks, don't forget, we got to tuck the chin in into that open position. We sometimes call this, we're going to reach up, goalpost, if your shoulders allow that, but I need for you, everybody, to keep the shoulder blades pulled together and keep the chin tucked. So if we are still somewhat rounded or poked at the chin, that lift is really uncomfortable and frankly unsafe for the shoulder. So we need that great tall posture. Then we've got good freedom of movement at the shoulder, yeah? And we often call that one, we might do it a little differently. Same posture cues are of course needed. We're going to open into a snow angel, we might call that if you remember from being a kiddo. And if you are somewhere where you've experienced snow, we would lay in the snow and make sort of an angel shape with those big wings, right? Good posture, good stretching. You can also, of course, hold that position, one arm back, just opening through the chest, the shoulder, keep the chin tucked. Finally, everybody, what I want you to think about is the opposite to those muscles that we were just stretching are the muscles that pull us into that great posture. Those are the muscles through the mid back. So those also get, like our glutes, those get sort of inhibited and long and loose. And, not in a good way. They are sort of a contributor to this rounded posture. So we stretch here, strengthen the mid back. How? We can do a row or a squeeze. First of all, if that's what you've got, that's the time, that's the space, go for it. Mid back squeeze, shoulder blades come together, shoulder blades release. Come together, release. If you might have a mini band, and you can grab these like, I don't know, any sports store or Winners, Amazon, all the things. Also support small business, although I don't know small businesses that sell these. So all that is to say, we can go into what we call an archer. So that is palm of the hand here, shoulder blade set, and we're going to pull and release, and pull and release. Okay, squeezing through the mid back, activating some of those muscles that can be a little shut off as we're sitting through our meetings or at our desk or whatever the case is. And it's not just for the folks that are working. If you spend a lot of time driving, if you spend a lot of time doing something like knitting, crocheting, that position often is what we find ourselves in, even folks that are reading, yes, texting, all the things, right? So these are great movements for all of us to give a go, and you don't have to be in workout gear, you don't have to have any particular thing, shoes, etc. Like I just got my socks on, and so I just want you to have easy, low barrier movement that you can plug in anytime that you need. See you soon. Have a great day.